Welcome, tasties and taste stats, to another episode of FTWGT Weekly. Thank you for joining me a million miles under the sea. It is your boy, the £1,000,000 man, as I was called over the weekend on the internet. I am joined with my producer extraordinaire, as always. Dante, how are we?
We live, baby.
Hell yes. I know it seems as though I'm alone on this extraordinary journey under the sea. I'm like James Cameron in the Titanic. I'm like Kristen Stewart in that movie where she's on the bottom of the ocean. I'm like Moby Dick. You got any other ones for me? Davy Jones.
Oh, okay. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
Yeah. There's got to be other famous people who've gone under the ocean, right?
All the people from Atlantis.
Oh, I am Jason Momoa. I'm sexy as fuck. Take that for calling me a fat fuck on the internet, you dickhead. How do you feel now? That one didn't bother me at all. Well, yeah, seriously, welcome everybody. This is a new aesthetic, a new environment we are bringing to you. I am on my own on camera this week, but like I said, I do have a friend in the studio. We are going to get things off to a hot, blistering start here. And I, Dante, wanted to ask you, do you have any tickets to go to the movies this week?
Currently no, but I am still thinking about buying that Scream ticket, you know?
Yeah, so you can not go like you have the past 4 times?
Who knows? I might actually surprise you this time.
Yeah, this is going to be a running joke. It's not really even a joke this week because you're not actually probably going to go. It's cool, though. I did want to talk about really quickly, though, before we get into the current events. I saw a movie trailer last week, and it was the Fast and Furious trailer. I had avoided it until this moment. Dante, I don't know. Have you seen it yet?
I did see it. And one thing I'll say is, did you count how many times they said family in the trailer?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, that's expected. That's the type of movie I'm trying to watch, you know? Yeah, so I had a stiffy for 3 minutes in a movie theater.
What the hell were you watching?
Oh, the Fast and Furious trailer. No, I swear to God, dude, I looked to Lawless Tom next to us, and I was like, holy shit, this is what I've been missing. I'm so fucking excited right now. It is okay, so there's some racing. I like that we brought it back to racing, but there's really like one racing scene, right? And it looks like they're racing for slips, or is they racing for family, or they racing for life? What did you catch that, Dante? I think it was probably slips, right?
At this point now, I watched that trailer like 2 weeks ago, so it's not fresh in my head. But I think they were racing for slips, maybe.
I love it. The one thing I don't love, and I said his name. How do you feel about Momoa? How do you feel about Aquaman?
I'm just wondering how many different wrestlers are we going to bring into the franchise?
He's not a wrestler, you dickhead.
Ah, crap.
He is just an actor. He is just a fucking actor. He is Gypsy, I think. Is that offensive? He is Aquaman. He's not a wrestler at any point. He could be a wrestler. I think that's actually racist on your part the more I'm thinking about this, because I think you think he's Samoan. And
he
you're
just has that aesthetic.
You're assuming
I
he's
don't think
related
it's
to
racist.
You think he's related to The Rock? Is that what we think?
Is he? Is he another one of The Rock's brothers?
It seems like he might be. And we might find that out. It'd be fucking hilarious if Vin Diesel wanted to troll The Rock so bad that he was like, all right, you don't want to do my movie? Like, we're going to say this guy's your brother. He's taking your place. John Cena's back. That's cool. My reason for not liking Momoa in this is, like, he just plays the same guy in everything, doesn't he, guys? Like, he is cool guy Aquaman. Aquaman. It's like the beginning of that movie. I remember seeing it in the movie theater at the part. You're familiar with the film, Dante?
That's actually ones I never went out to see.
That doesn't help. So it's the scene when he's on like the submarine, and it's like everything's like a one-liner, and it's like a wink at the camera and like flexes muscles for people to look. And I'm all for that. Like, I love the scene in Fast 7 when The Rock flexes off a cast. Like, that's dope as fuck. Don't get me wrong. And I hope Jason Momoa doesn't swim under the ocean and find me here and beat my ass. But I just can't do it, man. And like, I don't find him to be as attractive as you do. So I think that's maybe also why I'm not into him.
Although when you say you do, no, we're not going to brush past it. Are you talking about me?
I I was talking about you. Yes, I was.
Never made that claim.
It's maybe I'm having a moment, and I'm gonna save a topic for next week. But I will say this: I had an epiphany that I think D might be jealous of Michael B. Jordan, and that's only relevant to say that maybe I'm jealous of Jason Momoa. Who knows? Man envy. It's a real thing. But moving on to our current events, this one's gonna be more of a me thing. So you can set this one out, Dante, since you are not a masculine man. You don't have that toxic energy in you. You're not into MMA.
Yo, what's good with you?
You didn't follow the return of the GOAT this past weekend, did you?
No, but I have seen a few clips on Instagram.
Thoughts?
I see why you like this guy.
Yeah, what is it? His physique? That's what you're talking about?
Well, we all know you love a nice man.
Lubed in oil, too.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Honestly, just like the whole like post fight energy. There was a lot of clips of that, and what was it? They were asking him for like his post fight commentary, and he was just like, "Can I get a hoy?"
Yeah. I was gonna ask if that's what you liked. You were like, yeah. When he said he said Jesus Christ, and he was like, Jesus Christ.
And I was just like, yo, this dude's hilarious.
So he's actually like very cringe, and I would say like that would like border the line. I actually thought it was fairly funny, to be honest, but I like the Jesus Christ thing. I assume was the South Park reference. It felt like the Hall Yeah thing. I mean, obviously I've heard it a million times. I would not expect to hear that from him. It was kind of out of place. But I was more there for the performance, and I don't think anybody could have seen it going this way. It was like an obliteration. I mean, and to be fair, this is a very clear hole in the game of Ciryl Gane. He had gotten dominated by a guy who had no wrestling at all in Francis Ngannou. But, you took some time training, maybe, and you're more aware of the game plan, and you still only put up a 1-minute fight, and the best thing you did was kick somebody in the dick. John Jones fought harder getting through the doctors to get into the cage than he did actually with the fighter that he was fighting in the cage. Like that's I don't know what side that falls more on. Is it the guy who's maybe the lights are too bright for him, or is it that John Jones, for the past 10 years of my life, of your lives, of the UFC, everything, right? Maybe more than like 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, the only person who can stop him is himself. And this just went even further to showing us that his fight IQ is going to be what takes him all the way here. And the difference is that there was maybe an athletic gap that I could see was getting closed at the light heavyweight division for John Jones. And it could also be that, like, he's getting older, it's hard to cut weight, and then you start dedicating more of your camp to that, and you start losing some of that other stuff. And obviously he wasn't focused the way he was supposed to at the same time, but now that he's moved up to heavyweight, he may be sacrificing a little bit of speed, a little bit of athleticism, but there is not a single person in the heavyweight division who is more well-rounded and has the fight IQ and intelligence that John Jones has. And the fact that people could have bet on him this weekend at almost like even odds, I think he was like a slight favorite, and get John Jones against a guy who has very little MMA experience. You're never going to see those numbers again in his heavyweight run. Like, I can't see anybody that's coming down the pipeline that is going to be predictably a foe that anybody's going to take seriously. We're talking about Stipe being his follow-up match. Dante, for you and for anybody else who doesn't know, Stipe Miocic is debatably the greatest heavyweight UFC champion of all time. I would say he probably is the greatest heavyweight UFC champion of all time, Cain Velasquez being like the second guy you could kind of point to. Historically in MMA, you have Fedor Emelianenko, you have Big Nog, you have some other guys that were really, really accomplished. But I would say Stipe has everybody on the hit list at this point. He has beat Francis. He has beat Fabricio Verdum. He's beat Daniel Cormier, and the list goes on. And he's done it in impressive fashion in most instances. And he's a gritty, tough guy. He's a firefighter outside of his. He's a full-time firefighter when he's not fighting in a cage. Like, that's the type of guy this person is. And, so if we're going good guy award, he's won this by a landslide because John Jones is not that. To the other guy on the internet this past week who was a hater, who said we were haters while hating on me, ironic. The truth of the matter is the fight game is not a good guy game. And if we're going to point out like how great of a fighter John Jones is, I think it's okay to point out obvious facts that he's hit pregnant women, hit under a ring from a drug test, popped for actual steroids, X, Y, and Z. Like those things are all facts. I don't feel bad stating them, right? But I look and I'm like, there's nothing that Stipe can do at this moment, at this point in his career, that I could see him being a true foil for John. It'll last longer because I think he's smarter, I think he's more durable, and I think he wants to be there. But John's too methodical. I think he's probably going to take him down. I think he's probably going to ground him out. I thought he was going to win by ground and pound in this fight. That was my pick. I thought it was going to be done in the first 3 rounds by ground and pound against Cyril Gane. I, was somewhat right in that it was taken to the ground, but who would have saw a submission come that fast? He could tap out Stipe as well, but I just don't see that being the person. And then you go down the list and you look at the Curtis Blades of the world. Was it Karatanov, I think? Actually, that's the wrong guy. Can you really quickly Google something for me while I just gasp for air at sea? Who did they have? Look up UFC 285, or was it 270? 285 replacement fighter, heavyweight. See if that pulls it up. I'm just trying to remember the name. They basically had somebody weigh in to be there just in case somebody didn't make it to the main event this past weekend. He ain't beating John Jones, regardless. Doesn't matter. I don't even know his fucking name. He's not beating John Jones.
Was it Sergey Pavlovich?
Pavlovich. I said Karatanov. Sergey Karatanov's a different guy. But he ain't beating him either. The only guy who has a chance is Francis, but Francis ain't getting it done either, people. I'm sorry to tell you. And anybody sharing the thing of Jardinho Rosenstrike getting knocked out by Francis Ngannou and being like, what is John Jones going to do with this? It's like, I'll tell you what John Jones is going to do. He's not going to let him fucking chase him down with ugly ass strikes with his chin forward. John's going to circle off that cage or duck underneath those strikes and take him down. I mean, it's too easy of a plot to me to where, like, outside of a puncher's chance, there's nobody at heavyweight that poses any threat to this guy. So as long as he wants to have a belt right now, and as long as he can keep himself on the straight and narrow, which, I have a better feeling. I don't want to say I have a good feeling because you can't trust him at this point, but he went home after the fight this weekend. He did a video from his hotel room, and it's like him just working on editing photos with an editor, like from the fight. He wasn't out at a party. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. It does seem like he's in a good place and that he's actually valuing some of his things. The one weird one I saw, and this isn't my business. I don't really care that much. It doesn't have anything to do with fighting, but there was a weird little a video of him with his wife in the cage, kissing her on her forehead, and she wanted to kiss him on the lips, and it's like, they don't look like they might be that happy, but why should she be? I mean, and he's never seemed to be that faithful anyway, so it's like, a lot of these guys keep that stuff for a show. Conor McGregor. But that was the weekend in fights. We had a huge upset from Valentina Shevchenko. She got beat by Alexa Grasso. Excuse me. Congrats to her. Not too much to say there. I would say Shevchenko would still be the pick in the rematch. It did feel a little bit like the Amanda Nunes loss that from earlier last year, 2022. In that she had been at the top for a long time. Juliana Pena surprised her with a real tough performance. You wonder at some point if it's a little harder to get up for training camps. That's in there. A little bit harder to have that drive when you've kind of been running through everybody. And to be fair on this, like, I don't think anybody really picked Grasso. She's a tough girl, durable girl, but it's probably a little too soon was what most people were saying. But she proved everybody wrong. And it was a hell of a fucking tap out. Did you see the picture from this one, Dante?
No, I didn't.
Google Shevchenko Grasso submission, and then just look at the pictures, and there's going to be a picture from that of right after the choke, and it's how strong the grip was from Alexa Grasso, and you see the line, you see above her chin is pink from the blood going there, but all under where her arm was from the pressure is just pure white. Because there's so much pressure that the blood couldn't get to it. It's a real mind fuck to look at the picture. Any luck finding it?
I think I did.
Yeah, look, give me your reaction.
Holy shit. She's definitely like bright red, like looks like she's about to
But there's a next picture that shows after the choke comes off.
think it's this one.
And see if you can.
That's too small.
That's a shit quality picture.
Yeah. What's this one? Oh, here we go.
Oh, see, you got one with her hand in the way. You are bad at this.
Trying to be quick.
We won't stay here though. Whenever you get the picture, just go ahead and give us a quick little thought on it. It's a real mind trip, like I said. Hey, Bailey, you want to not hit the lights around, pal? With one fight, we go into another, though. And I had the opportunity to go see Creed 3, as we talked about last week on the channel. Figured I would run us through some non-spoiler-ish thoughts, especially since the other person in the room, as we've gone over numerous times, buys tickets to not go to movies. So we can't actually free ball and let it all rip here, right, Dante? Okay. No need to answer. Creed 3. I do need to take a victory lap on Creed 3. Dante, do you remember last week when we had our buddy Hey Archer in the studio with us? Shout out Nerd Affiliated. And we were talking box office predictions.
Yeah.
Could you let me know how Creed 3 did? There's nothing that makes you feel like you need to trim your nose hairs. I'm just going to let everybody in on what I'm going through right now. Behind the camera this week, I can see myself. I'm actually just talking to myself on a TV screen. And all I can focus on is I think I have a nose hair that's like too long and I can feel it. And I'm sure it's on the camera right now. It's the shit part of getting old.
You're tricking yourself into thinking you can see it.
Well, it's not even that. No, the shit part about getting old is like you have hair coming out of your fucking nose that you got to keep up with. Like I looked at my ears the other day and I have hair there. I was like, dude, I'm like 30. I'm not that fucking old. I have hair coming out of my ears. Disgusting, mind you. It's not cool. But yeah, now that I've burnt enough time for you to get me that box office stuff, let me know.
So it looks like
yeah.
Looks like an opening weekend in North America alone, they got 58.7 million and 41.8 internationally.
Can you pull up IMDb box office and just tell us what the closest movie in the box office was? I will give you a spoiler, everybody. It was Ant-Man. I think it only did like 12 mil. So yes, movie theaters might still be dead. I can't argue that fact.
Damn.
What I can tell you is this movie did very, very well. If you look up the statistics also for this, Dante, I believe it is the #1 grossing opening weekend of a sports movie ever. Pretty impressive. And I think it poses the question again. My dog needs to leave.
I got it.
So Archer, buddy, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, though. I feel like I caught some of Nerdy Coffee this week, and I think you may have taken this as a failure for the movie, that it only did 60 million. And I suppose I see where you're coming from an exterior standpoint of like movies do 100 million now and everything. Like, so I suppose it could be deemed a failure. Does it say what the budget was?
75 million.
Okay. So we're going to make money. It's the biggest opening of a Rocky/Creed movie ever. It's the biggest sports movie of all time. I don't see how that could be a failure, so to speak. Like, maybe you didn't use those words, but I just felt like you didn't maybe find it to be as positive news as I think it is. I mean, there is a huge gap there. So it is the only thing that people wanted to see in the movies. And I guess to your point, maybe that is more of an indictment on the movie theater itself or the industry than it is the movies or, the success of an indicator of the success of this movie. I think word of mouth's going to stay pretty strong on this one. Me personally, I don't think I've felt as strongly as I've seen most of the reviews of this movie. I feel like it's gotten fairly high praise. I've seen it ranked as high as 2 or 3 on people's like all-time Rocky list. That's a bit much. That is a bit much. I think... So, I hadn't watched any trailers going into this movie. Like I've been trying not to. And I think because of that, for the first 30 minutes or so, I loved it. I thought it was totally different than any other Rocky movie I'd really seen up to this point. And that's including the Creed movies. A different environment. We're not in Philly anymore. I think the move to the West Coast felt new. It felt fresh. I immediately understood, or very quickly throughout into the movie, realized why Rocky couldn't be in this movie. He doesn't fit the aesthetic of LA that they were trying to show. we have flashbacks to when B. Jordan was younger, and you got like that like West Coast, Dr. Dre bounce like vibe to it, kind of. You know what I'm talking about, Dante?
I got an aesthetic in my head.
Okay, so you flash forward to the future and you bring back in those people that he knew when he was younger. In that Jonathan Majors character is a person he knew when he was younger. I believe that's all in the trailer, so I don't think that's anything to really spoil. But Rocky just, I don't think, would have fit with the way they told this story. The performances. Michael B. Jordan, Jonathan Majors, it's awesome. I mean, like, I applaud them. They carry the entirety of this movie. They are so interesting to watch. And Jonathan Majors, it's just, people already knew who he was, I suppose. But for me, this is, and I'm sure for a lot of people, put him on the map. I will see anything that he has going forward. I feel like it's kind of similar to how it felt after Michael B. Jordan did Black Panther for a lot of people, right? Like it's that stamp of approval that puts you over the edge to take you to the next level. So I think we're just going to see more and more of him to come. I am interested to see if he gets kind of typecast as a bad guy at some point in here, because he's so menacing. But also, part of being menacing is how calm his demeanor is and how he can border this like sociopathic level of good guy, bad guy all at the same time. Because for most of this movie, I don't think he was a villain. I think, they do a really good job of making him the villain throughout it, probably. Not probably, they do. But my biggest gripe that I found in the movie, somebody said that this is like the best Rocky fight scene of all time. And for 3 rounds, I agreed. It had everything. But then there's just decisions that were made from a directorial standpoint that I don't love. I loved the concept of it at first, but it just doesn't live up from round 3 to me on. And that's where I kind of fall out of love a little bit with the movie. I think the performances are great. I think they were telling an interesting story. Somewhere about halfway in, I think it gets a little muddy to a point with some predictable plot lines, but that's not always a bad thing for movies. And I think for a Rocky movie, you almost have to know that that's going to come, so it's fine. It's fine. But the fight sequences have, I don't know that they've ever been fantastic. I think it's more the drama, the melodrama that goes along with the fight sequences more than it is the fights themselves, because the reality is people don't fight like that in real life. And the reason I really liked what they were doing in Creed 3, it was the first time in a fight sequence from Rocky that I had felt like we had strategy, that there were storyline beats created through the movie. And as a person who loves fighting, who watches fighting, like real, like I watch boxing, I watch MMA, like I follow this stuff. As a person who appreciates the strategy in the chess match that combat sports can be, I loved that in the first few rounds of this fight, we were following like actual game plan. And it was kind of cool, man. It felt like real boxing. It wasn't Rocky like cocking back and just slugfest, hitting each other and black eyes and like swollen lips and like all this like this false stuff that doesn't really happen. It can happen, but it doesn't happen every time you fight like they make it look like in those, of course. And I just think it was special. And then somewhere in there, I think it just falls back into some of the tropes that you get from a Rocky movie. And that was disappointing to me. The next thing is I see people clamoring for a sequel. And I just don't get it. I don't really know why we would want that. He retires twice in this movie, Dante.
Apollo Creed does?
Yeah. Like, it's like Creed. It's not Apollo, is it?
Oh, I don't know.
Adonis is his name.
Adonis, that's what it is.
Yeah, he retires twice in this movie, dude. Like, I can't see a reason to have him come back. And then he has a daughter, and I don't know if I would care to see him coach his daughter for a sequel. I don't think I'd really want to see that. So the only viable reason that I could see for a sequel that I would want to see with him being involved, they kind of already burned through the storyline by having him. Like, I think the way I would have done this movie in my head, because halfway through this movie, I think you have the opportunity to do this. And I think a lot of people with the way it was playing out would have been okay with it. I think I would have made Jonathan Majors the the person to carry on the legacy of these movies. I think that it would have been a new and interesting thing to put Creed in the corner and have him get behind this person who's on a similar story to Rocky Balboa. You know, like what, not the exact story, but a guy with no professional boxing career, like that, so to speak, other than being an amateur, and being able to make it to the cream of the crop, the top level possible. You know, I think there was something there that you could have done. And maybe you still can do it, even with the way that the movie played out. But I would have almost rather just seen him take Jonathan Major's character, and I wish I remembered his name in the movie. Can you get me that?
Yeah.
Because it's like a super easy name. I don't know why I can't remember it. I think it would have been interesting to see that play out that way, and I think I would have enjoyed it a bit more. So for me, as far as ranking the Creed movies, I think it goes 1, 3, 2 probably. That's so hard. Maybe 1, 2, 3. It might be the traditional one. I might have to go and take another look at this one and kind of iron that out. And I think at some point, I'd like to put out a ranking of all of my Rocky movies. You got it for me?
It's annoying. I look it up in Google Cast, and he's the only one that doesn't have an actual name.
No. IMDb, you had it up, didn't you?
Shit, yeah.
Man, I got to get people who know how to use the internet.
Well, this is the stuff you Google all the time, so of course you know how to search it.
I just know how to look up a movie on IMDb and then go to the list of characters, dude.
Damian Anderson.
Damien. I think Damien should have been the lead. I think Damien should have been the person to carry on this franchise. He still can, but I don't know if it has the same effect any longer. So overall, passable movie. I would definitely watch it again. I implore anybody who loves these movies to go see it. If you're a Michael B. Jordan fan, you won't be disappointed. If you're coming off of Quantum Mania, Quantum of Solace, whatever that fucking movie was called, and you just want to see Jonathan Majors do that again, I think this is another really good opportunity to watch that. So yeah, thumbs up, but there's some things that I would have liked to have seen gone differently. If you saw the movie, though, let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Would you have liked to have started to go a different way? Where do you think this ranks in the Creed franchise, the Rocky franchise? Is this the best fight that's ever happened in a Rocky movie? I'd love to hear that as well. And the last thing is Dante right? Is it a 50% drop off next week? Is Steve right? Is this a disappointment? Maybe. For me, not a disappointment in box office performance. I'm happy to see it do as well as it did. I think it will carry into next week easily, and I think that it will get smushed by John Wick when the time comes. I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, I just bought my Shazam ticket for next week. It could be Shazam might beat this. 30 mil. You said 30 mil.
Scream outshadows it?
No,
that's this week. No.
There's not 30. Look up the highest box office for a Scream movie. I am willing to say it would probably be. It's probably 48 million. Just a guess. Scream 5, 48 million.
$81.
Oh, shit. All right, it might get beat. That was Scream 5?
Yeah.
All right, I'm wrong. Creed is going to lose this weekend. Word of mouth ain't going to do that good. So it did not last. I read that one incorrectly.
I'm sorry.
Oh, 81 you read incorrectly.
81 is gross. Opening weekend was 30.
All right. Well, should I just edit all that out?
No, I mean, I fail pretty regularly. That's cool. Leave it in.
All right. Fuck, sure. I was wrong. That's cool. 48 million. So yeah, maybe I think Creed holds on, maybe by the skin of its teeth. I don't know. That's an interesting question, huh? You still haven't watched Scream 5, right?
No, I've watched Scream 5. I haven't watched the new one that's coming up, or I haven't seen any other ones, I should say.
So you've only seen the most recent one that's come out?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you can answer this appropriately with actual do you, based on what you saw in that movie, do you think this movie will have a strong enough following off of the back of that movie to get over 30 million?
I think that's one of the cult followings of the slasher genre, and I think you're going to get a lot of people that are going to go and see it just cuz. And then also just people like myself that, just went to see it because it was a modern retelling of a movie that a lot of people love. I think it does well. I know before you had mentioned that because it's not in October, does that kind of affect it for it being like a movie of this genre? I feel like it does to some degree, but I still think it'll do well.
Bigger movie franchise, Rocky or Scream?
I mean, I think numbers wise, Scream, no. I'm sorry, Rocky. That's what I meant to say.
Now, when you say numbers wise, do you mean by volume of movie because there's more movies that have come out, or do you mean?
I think I'm talking about like
sales?
earnings.
Can you? Is that? I don't know if this is possible. Can you find total revenue gross for the Rocky franchise? Because you have to remember that movie came out in the 70s, Dante. Like that movie's not new, right? So inflation, things like that could definitely affect it. You have the fact that everything, like Scream is the far more modern franchise that has had more. I mean, I guess it's tough because like because Creed has been so big now, you know.
So just to put it in perspective, because I have the numbers up here for box office performance, the first Scream lifetime gross 103 million. Rocky 4 is their highest grossing one right now with 127.
Sorry, 127 for Rocky 4. What was the other one?
103 for Scream 1.
That's the highest. No.
So Scream 1 performed the
best.
best.
So what did Scream 5 gross or Scream 4 since they've, we have 2014 for Scream 4, I think. And you have
Scream 4 was the worst. Lifetime gross of 38 million.
Wow, that movie's really good too. That sucks. It makes sense though because like Scream 3 was so bad and then there's a huge gap in between movies. It's 10 years. Yeah, I mean, I guess like I know the Rocky franchise is a lot bigger. I just don't know. Like Scream is just, like to your point, as far as slasher films are concerned, and maybe I'm just overrating what like. Sorry, I'm just gonna let Bailey get comfortable. Yeah, maybe I'm just overreading this one a bit. Because Rocky's definitely more popular. I think it's going to be pretty close this weekend. If we did 30 mil last year for a Scream release, I think you're right on the 50%. So I still think Creed's going to hold on, but I think it'll probably be within a $5 million range of each other, probably. Sound about right?
I'd say, yeah.
Cool. What do you guys think out there? Let us know. But let's move on. You watched The Last of Us, the latest episode of The Last of Us?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about that. What do you think so far? Where are we at? How you feeling?
I again, like this show really draws you in like emotionally to the characters, and I love that they gave you kind of a unique perspective of what it's like for. Are we doing spoilers?
Yeah, we're fine.
All right.
Yeah. Hold on. You want to hit me with 3,
3, 2, 1. So I think we get a unique perspective of what it's like for Ellie to kind of try and go and hold her own without Joel, so to speak. And then, also just seeing their relationship further develop. I mean, we had that filler episode, episode 7. And it kind of showed how she's drawn a close connection to someone, then lost them, and hasn't really grown close to anybody again, till Joel. And now she's finally allowing herself to feel that connection to him, and she's refuses to let him go.
You could say that feeling's going both ways right now, right?
Yeah, I guess.
It's the end of this episode.
By the end of this episode, like, that one hit me.
Did it?
Yeah.
Can I tell you the mistake I've made recently?
What?
I've been watching a playthrough of the game.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out like how I want to put this because it hasn't ruined it for me, but I don't want to be like over dramatic for the sake of like, recording this and putting on the internet, just to try and get people outraged. It's not that I'm turned off at all to it. What we were praising the show a lot for, like the scene by scene accuracy. Now that I've been watching somebody play through the game and watching it, it's kind of like taken away some of the eagerness I have to see things play out because I already know that know how it's going, So this episode was awesome. I do agree. And I think Bella Ramsey was fantastic, I think she earned a lot of people's. I think she's already been great from an acting perspective, but I do think people were questioning, especially as the story is going to keep going into a second season, as she needs to be more physical in these roles. As Joel's going to allow her to do more, or she's going to need to do more. How is she going to look in that role? Is she going to look the part to hold up? And I think you felt the intensity from her in this. I think that whatever she gives up in size, that she's got a ton of like heart. She's ferocious and she doesn't want to die, right? She's smart too.
She just has that drive to survive by any means.
Yeah, I like your rhyming. Yeah, she's got all of that, right? Like, so that was huge for me. But like, I knew every line before it was going to happen. Like, I don't know. I think they've done such a good job deviating at times that I wish they did it a little bit more for the people like myself that are getting more and more in tune with the game again. But at the same time,
I think there's a big difference in the way you consume it if you're watching it concurrently, right? Like, if you're watching the playthrough of the game while you're watching the show, then yeah, I think that takes away from it. But if you're watching the show after already having kind of remembered everything from the game and just kind of getting that refresher, like, oh, hey, yeah, no, I remember this part, and this is kind of cool to see how they play this part of the story out, versus right now you're just drawing direct comparisons because you're watching them at the same time.
No, you are 100% right. Yeah, I mean, and this is, like I said, it's probably a mistake. I've enjoyed watching the game. I'm watching somebody who's never played the game before play through it, and I enjoyed it. Courage JD, if anybody was wondering. I've been watching him. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's the thing we've clamored for so long, is telling people to just stick to the source material. Like Tomb Raider, Uncharted, go down the list, whatever it is. We've always begged them to stay closer to home on the source material. And I think that this has been the closest we've gotten historically to somebody staying very accurate to what the characters were. And I appreciate that. And it's been great. And I just, we're getting towards the tail end here. And, I'm just looking to still be surprised at times. But the intensity's there. The whole final act of this episode, the fight in the lodge there as it like goes on fire, Ellie saying that she's infected to throw them off, and then just fucking slicing the fuck out of a guy's neck.
Dude,
right?
I loved every second of that.
Cleaver to the neck. Yeah. You played the game. Did you beat the game?
So the first one I did, and I played a little bit of the second one. This one doesn't touch on any. This doesn't touch on anything from the second one, right?
No. So you do you remember that part in the game?
See, I don't. And like, we've talked about this before. Like, I have a really bad inability to remember anything from movies, TV shows, and apparently game storylines. So it's a gift and a curse, right? Like, the gift is I get to watch things for the first time multiple times. But the curse is when I'm trying to draw comparisons like this, I don't necessarily remember it.
It's almost to a T how it happens. Like, there's one small difference. They added one line about them being violent people when the preacher dude is drawing comparisons between him and Ellie. That line doesn't come from the game, but every other line basically from that entire scene is direct from the game.
So I remember seeing that in like the post-episode recap that they were saying that it was like the only thing they changed.
Mm-hmm.
But for what it's worth, I think that was a really really important line, I guess, or the way they delivered it really fit, I should say.
Well, it foreshadowed what you were going to get with the way she kills him, right? Because, like, that wasn't the kill. Like, that's somebody who's killing from rage, passion, anger,
well,
fear.
For me, what it was her hearing that when she, like, paused and kind of, reacted to it, which, great acting, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in that moment she was processing, shit, I might not be that different from Joel.
You think it was Joel? Or she's not looking at the person in front of her and saying, like, maybe I am like this person?
I think because I think the way they were framing it is the whole time you're waiting for Joel to show up and save her.
Mm-hmm.
But now she's realizing, like, shit, I got to do something to try and save myself. And I think she's realizing, like, I've been waiting for Joel to save me, or he comes and saves me every time, and I got it in me too.
I don't think she was waiting for Joel to save her.
Maybe she wasn't, but we as the audience were.
So that's true. I agree with that 100%, but that's why I don't think she was thinking about, I'm like Joel. I think she's thinking she's like the person in front of her. Because the last she knows of Joel can't even fucking open his eyes. She was hoping that he was going to be able to hold a knife to be able to kill somebody who might come into the room with her, right? The whole reason she's in this circumstance is because she knows he's not coming, and she needed to draw them away. So I don't think that she was necessarily, and this is just my opinion, right? I don't think that she was necessarily thinking of herself as Joel. I think she was seeing. That's tough when somebody identifies something that quickly because they can feel it off of you, right? Like that's I think that's where it was like alarming because it is like, well, maybe I am like that. Yeah, but then I think she embraced it, right?
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. It's like, yeah, maybe I am fucking violent. Like I'm 15 years old, and my entire life's been living in a quarantine zone, right? Maybe I am a little fucking angry. Is that okay? And now you've got me caged. And what does somebody do when their back's against the wall, right? Like they're gonna lash out. And I loved that the guy that she hits with the cleaver is actually Joel in the game. Thought that was really cool. You didn't see that in the post thing?
I think I might have missed that.
Yeah, that's the guy who does Joel's voice work. He was saying that he thought that they were going to... He was surprised that they put him in an actual like speaking role. He assumed he'd be like a clicker or something, and that was. Just
I do remember him saying that.
Yeah, so he was Joel.
Oh shit!
So Joel is dead. Ellie killed him.
Damn. Fuck. Plot twist.
Yeah. The last thing. We talked about when Dee was here a few weeks back that I didn't think that this show was the type of show to leave us with a cliffhanger. And I was right in that instance. But we talked about it before we started recording. There's a lot left for them to fill in. And there's only one episode left.
Yeah.
Does that feel like it could be a cliffhanger coming? Or do you think they're giving us like a... Is there something... Can you look up like runtime for episode 9 of Last of Us, see if they've announced that? Because it could be like Stranger Things, right? Where we were getting hour and a half like full-on movies for episodes,
Yeah, no, that's definitely something to worry about, though, just because, like, it's either they're going to try and cram a ton of stuff into a short amount of time, or they're going to leave us with a huge cliffhanger that we won't find out for, like, another year.
I still don't have the feeling that this show is going to do cliffhangers. And, like, it'd be a fucked up thing to do. It wouldn't be telling the story properly. And I guess, like, they technically didn't announce whether or not we were getting season 2.
Hold up. So, I just looked up the runtime, and it's saying the season finale is going to be 43 minutes. So, I feel like that's shorter than the other episodes.
It is. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's not good. That is not good. So yeah, we might be getting a cliffhanger, everybody. I don't know how I feel about that. I tend to say I don't like it. I think the beauty of Game 1 and Game 2 is they tell their own stories. They're both complete, full stories. They could... Like, 2 can't live without 1. Like, the second storyline, or the second game story can't live without the first ones. But it's a true... different story. It's a growth of the characters in 2. I don't need to see... This is the fear, right? This is what we talked about last week with Steve even. It's like, this is greed, right? To a point. This is stretching shit out to get more out of it. And like, some of it's good. I don't want to paint it all in a negative light. I don't want to like just completely trash the idea of it getting like carrying over into season 2. Because I think that the chemistry that you have between Ellie and Joel, I think we all would love to keep seeing it, right? And like keep seeing that progress, and like this is going to continue to stretch that story as we get her to her destination of ideally being the cure, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much finality in the end of the first game, and to not have that, and then how are you going to tell that finality in the beginning of a second season? You can't stretch out what's left into 4, 5, 6 episodes the way they tell stories, right? But then the other side to this is, are we just going to rush it? Like, so are we going to, how do we end this episode? It was just them walking towards the water and Joel still got it, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
So we're going to time jump. It's not going to be the winter anymore. It's probably going to be spring, I imagine, when we start next episode. And we're just going to burn through the entirety of the end of the game, I think. I don't think we're getting a cliffhanger, but I don't think that 43 minutes is going to feel like enough. I think even if they give us, like, that's a sprint to the finish for me.
By this point in the game, do you remember how much left of the story there is?
Dante, I'm watching a playthrough. I know exactly where we're at.
So, like, percentage-wise, how far into the story would you say we are at the end of episode
90.
Okay.
90. But I mean, like, that's a dense 10%.
Yeah.
Dense 10%. There's a lot that happens when they get to their next destination, man.
So they either rush it with a lot of fast cuts and kind of speed through it.
I mean, it's a lot of action. In this show, the one thing they are omitting from the games is a lot of the major fight sequences, you know, and it's because those things don't make sense if you were to do all of the things that they do in the game. Like, for instance, when they meet, what's his name? Preacher dude.
Okay, yeah.
In the game, there's a long sequence where they're being chased by clickers and walkers, and like they're fighting together. And I think that was probably an unrealistic thing to assume that him and her could fight off 100 zombies, you know? So you can't do that type of thing the same way in the show. So we've omitted a lot of those action sequences. I don't know if you're going to be able to do, actually, I said 90%. You might be more like 83%.
So that's a lot to squeeze into a 43-minute episode.
I guess there is some ways they can condense that 83%. I mean, the fight sequences we have coming up are going to be mixtures of people, and they're going to be mixtures of infected. And, you know, maybe like I said, what the show has done is a lot of the stuff that's dense with infected from the game, we haven't gotten in the show. So maybe that's the stuff we're going to cut out, is the more of the infected stuff. And maybe we're going to focus more on like the stuff that comes after that, you know, and we kind of, as we progress through, like I forget what city, you know, where are we going to? Colorado, I think, right? That's where we are.
I forget.
I think it was Colorado. So, you know, maybe we're in Colorado and we're just going to go right in, you know. We'll see. Are you worried?
Honestly, no. I mean, and without remembering too much of the game, I don't really know exactly what's left to tell. But honestly, with the adaptations they've made and the way they've told the story so far, I've been really satisfied with. So I don't expect to be disappointed with this season finale. I just wonder if it's going to feel rushed at all, or if it's going to feel like they omitted too much and they're going to leave us with a huge cliffhanger.
There's definitely, I mean, and I guess like by definition of cliffhanger, right? Like I would say I don't mind setting things up for next season, right? As long as you finish the story that you're telling in this story. Like the story of this season is Ellie is the cure. Get Ellie to the end of the line. And we get the trailer that shows her like that conversation happening, I believe, at the end of this, right? At the end of that episode, where she says like we need to finish what we started.
Yeah.
That's what the story is. And if we don't complete that story, then I have a problem. I can't have you not complete that story in season 1. It's not going to work if you don't. If you do it successfully in 43 minutes, props to you. I don't think I think they've done so well that if they don't do a great job with getting everything in the last 50 minutes of the season here that we're going to get, people are still going to look back on this very, very fondly. But it is a little bit, I am worried that it's going to get like that Game of Thrones feel where it's like you did so good for 9, or in this case 8, and then you just in the last episode, you know, like I hope that's not the case. I'm confident it won't. What do you guys think? Are we going to get a cliffhanger? Are we going to finish the story? Are we going to get us to the end of the road? Is my hair terrible or is it good? It's like God, I would never have this problem if I wasn't just staring at myself the whole time. Yeah. I would love to know what everybody's thinking out there. I mean, I'm very confident that everybody has enjoyed up to this point. I'm sure for some people, I'll ask you this first. What are your 3 favorite episodes of the season in order?
So I think episode 8 might be number 1 for me.
Okay.
Remember, my recollection isn't that great, so now I'm trying to remember what we went through here.
I think for most people, if I had to guess, it goes 3, 4, 8.
3 would be your number 1?
No, I don't. I'm saying people's 3 favorite episodes of 3, 4, and 8.
Okay.
I have to guess.
Refresh my memory. 4.
4 is the one where they I think I'm right on this. 4 is the one where they meet the brother and the kid, and you get the first bloater. Is that episode 4?
No. So they meet the brother and the kid, I think, at 4, but then
at the end of 4,
5,
you're probably right. So I'm saying, I think 5 maybe then. Yeah, 5, 3, 5, 8. 4 was good. 1 was good too.
Damn. So yeah, I think it might go.
2 was pretty good too. Fuck.
8, 5, and I don't know what my number 3 would be.
Oh, you are prejudiced.
Why?
Didn't put number 3 in there, huh? So you omitted that. Wonder why.
Nah, yo, bro, it's your thing to get canceled. You're not gonna try and cancel me, all right?
You haven't watched the podcast enough. I love trying to get my co-host canceled.
I just think it was a slower episode. It didn't do a ton for me.
They did something though. You clearly didn't like it.
Oh my god! Never did I say that.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I didn't. That's not my. It's not my list of favorite ones. I actually every other one I just said like. Episode 1's really good. I think as far as being like, holy shit, this feels so much like the game. It's like number 1 just like immerses you immediately, like you're right back there. Number 2 being in Boston, I think for us is probably a little bit biased. 3 was great, but like it, I didn't cry at the end like a lot of people did. 4,
I don't think I pulled too much Boston bias from episode 2 just because there wasn't that much of it there.
You got the State House though, like you got some of that stuff, and like I think I remember more from the game too. So like, you just feel like that stuff a little bit more. 4 was good. I mean, realistically, I think for most people, the only one that they really didn't like that much, and it's not that they didn't like it, but everybody calls 7 filler. I thought 7 was actually pretty interesting.
For me, 7 was more welcome filler than 3.
Because you're prejudiced.
For the same prejudice you're trying to get me, it was present in both 3 and 7.
Fair. That got me there.
Yeah.
You really felt that way though? I don't know. That's tough. I actually, you're probably right. Maybe I like 7 more. You have more action for sure. In 7 you got the little clicker scene at the end there. I like the vibe of the mall. I think that'd be kind of cool. Like the idea, like we all love that idea, right? Being in a mall after it closes by yourself, even if it's like 20 years after the world's ended.
In the arcade? Hell
yeah. Like that shit was all awesome. Like I would love to just be able to go free reign. Like you bust open the fucking coin thing and start playing on all the arcade stuff. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Sign me up. But yeah, like let us know how you feel. What do you rank your episodes? Do you hate episode 3 for all the same reasons Dante does? That'd be a great question out there. So HBO Max, and we're gonna get out on this. I want to throw out a couple recommendations that I found because HBO Max just updated some just added movies on there, and I happened to be scrolling through last night and was like, holy shit, there are some classics on here. And I'm like, for me, I'm a 90s movie guy. I'm a bad horror movie guy, and they just have some of that for me right now. So if I could make a couple recommendations for you people out there. You people, I'm learning from you now, Dante. Fuck. First
keep
one.
that one out of your vocabulary.
First one. The Big Hit. You've never heard of this, right, before, Dante?
No.
Look up the movie The Big Hit. Just look at the cover art for the movie The Big Hit. Can we put that behind me, maybe? No, I want to stay out of the ocean, probably.
We could pop that up for a minute.
That looks fucking awesome, doesn't it?
I honestly now kind of want to go see it.
That looks fucking awesome, doesn't it?
That's on HBO Max?
Yes.
All right.
It is. So Mark Wahlberg. It came out in like 1993. Tell me, right around Fear.
Wow.
Right around when Fear came out. Was that right?
I can't remember the last time I've seen you that far off. 98.
Oh fuck. When did Fear come out? 96. Yeah, I don't know why I said 93. Mark Wahlberg was still like Funky Bunch at that point. Maybe Calvin Klein's.
Fear was 96. You redeemed yourself.
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg probably beating up Asian dudes in fucking Chinatown at that point.
There you go. Now you're trying to get canceled.
No, he did. I didn't do that. I didn't fucking do that. I love Asian people. I have Asian friends.
No, we won't dive any further into that. That one never vindicates you.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg, he's like a hitman dude, who has like the worst stress levels in the world to where at point where he like gets diarrhea from it all the time. He's trying to hide it from his wife.
He's trying to hide his diarrhea or his career?
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
And like shit just starts hitting the fan while he's also trying to hide his life, like his hidden life from his wife.
Unintended.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great. It's got Lou Diamond Phillips for anybody out there who is looking for another huge name that's in this movie. I can't remember the dude. What's the black dude's name? And can you tell me what else he's in?
Bokeem Woodbine.
Thank you, Bokeem. I love that name.
He's
He's a bad guy in a lot of things. Bokeem.
I don't know any of these other movies he's in. Jason's Lyrics, Strapped. Oh, Queen and Slim. Life, Spencer Confidential. The Inspection.
Okay. He's in another Mark Wahlberg movie.
Yeah.
Spencer Confidential, not as bad as people say it is.
No.
You ever seen it? Yeah?
Yeah, I have.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
There's more, but like, you wouldn't know any of them anyways, and you can't use the internet, so.
Wow.
The other one I would recommend to everybody, the movie Ghost Ship. Are you familiar with this one?
No.
Fairly self-explanatory. They find a ship. There's ghosts on it.
Okay.
Yeah, watch it. I don't, any actors that Carl Urban. Fuck.
Yeah.
Carl Urban's in it. Yeah, it's a great movie. Either way, both of those are on there. They did add Final Destination on there as well. There's a bunch of other stuff. I just happened to be cruising through there when I was watching The Last of Us, or after I was done watching The Last of Us, looking for something to watch. You know what I was trying to find, actually? Was trying to find where I could watch Scream before I see it this week. Fun fact, they're all on Paramount Plus.
Ooh, okay.
So you can watch those there. Oh, they have all the Expendable movies on HBO Max. That's another one that they had all of them on there. They had the Creed movies too. So if you are going to see Creed 3 at all this week, Creed 1 and 2 are both on HBO Max as well. So you can catch those there if you want to brush up like I'm brushing up on Scream prior to seeing the movie. Remind yourself if you thought Drago won. Did he? Who knows? And Final Destination is also on HBO Max. Do you have anything that you'd like to recommend the people, Jan Tizzle?
So I've been without a computer for the past few days, and I found myself diving into streaming services, and mostly I've just been rewatching old movies that, like I told you guys earlier, I want to watch again for the first time. But I do remember years ago, there's like an indie movie theater near me, and they played this movie called Goodnight Mommy. Wasn't my choice. I went with somebody, but it ended up being a pretty interesting premise. And then I'm scrolling through Amazon Prime, and I saw it there. And it said Amazon Original. And I was like, what the hell? No, I know this is an indie movie. And I found out that they actually remade it. I haven't watched it yet, but I think that's probably what I'm going to watch tonight if you guys want to watch along with me.
Do you know what year the Amazon original version came out? Was it like this year? Last year?
Amazon Original, I think, is this year.
This year or last year? Or like end of 2022 type deal?
Now you're going to make me look it up.
It's kind of the gig.
2022. So it was September 2022 that they came out that remake.
Interesting.
And the original was 2014.
Does it have like an IMDb rating?
5.6.
Does anybody else out there have a Letterboxd? I ask a lot of people this. I'd love to know if anybody else out there has a Letterboxd. I have one. Well, we have one for those with good taste. I think you can add people on there. Take a look. We're on there. I don't give anything 5 stars, so if my scores seem a little weird, it's because I have to put everything on a basis of 4.5 stars or less. Like, I just can't give things a 5 star. So
Nothing's perfect. I feel you.
But yeah, Letterboxd. Check that out. Dante, you check that movie out. You give us a score. We can put that on our Letterboxd and let me know. But I'm trying to keep going through there and just thinking of movies I've seen and trying to throw ratings. If I watch something new, I generally hop on there and put a rating. I've never once typed a review, but maybe someday, maybe I'll feel motivated.
Isn't that kind of what you do on this platform? Like,
yeah, but like you can reach another audience with the good gospel, But we're gonna wrap it. One other thing. I saw a picture of Owen Wilson as Bob Ross.
Oh no, are they gonna do a Bob Ross movie?
Yeah, he looks pretty fucking good.
Holy shit! Okay.
Yeah, he looks pretty fucking good. Wow.
I hope he doesn't say that in the movie. I need at least one good beat the devil out of it.
Yeah, but yeah, so Owen Wilson, that's what I'll leave you all with. Google that shit. Owen Wilson is Bob Ross. That's going to be pretty fucking cool. It's been really cool being here today, as always. It's been weird with the ocean and such. Look at that fish. Look at that fish.
Sea.
Holy shit, there's a whale. Thank you for joining me, as always. Dante, where can they find you on socials?
Dirty Water ENT on Twitch and Dirty Water _ENT on YouTube and Instagram. I messed that up last time, but accurate now.
For sure. You can find our podcast on any platform where podcasts can be found. You've got Google Podcasts, you have iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcast. I said Google Podcast, Stitcher. Tease Nuts Teaser. I got it. One day we'll run out of ways to say that. You can find us on Instagram at For Those With Good Taste, on Twitter at Good Taste Live, at Letterboxd, probably at FTWGT, I imagine. Like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Until next week, we love you. Peace.
Peace.
For those with good taste.